The DJ accepts no responsibility for the next record.
Say what?
Oh no, he's in.
Where's the money, man? Where's my money?
It's time to man up, America.
Let's do this.
Talk 101.3 The Buzz, WTMD Television.
We'll talk about
right
that.
Here in Cleveland, Tennessee. We're already talking Green
Is
Book.
Kevin Hart? How do I spell Kevin Hart's last name? Just
H-A-R-T.
Yeah.
Okay.
H-A-R-T. So Rob is forwarding it on the socials.
Yeah,
because if it's not on the socials, it never happened.
That's listen, man. That's a fact.
That's the truth.
That's a
It
MAGA
is another
fact.
day of. It's another MAGA day. Here we go. I didn't even know. I had no idea we were getting in the weeds this far. Like, you Stillwell managed to wear Creasey out before the show even started. Like, you got to take it easy on my man Creasey. Like, he hasn't even finished his cup of coffee yet.
I haven't
Stillwell's like
Cheers,
going
Creasey.
crazy. Yeah, here we go. Good doctor. Good to see you this morning.
It's good to be seen and not viewed.
Yeah, man. You know, I was sitting down with Sir Stephen Hartline, and we were basically reminiscing over back when I used to be on his show all the time. And, you know, Kenny and I were on that show a lot. And I told him that this show makes me feel like he and I are still connected, but in a way that he can't tell me what to do.
Oh. Hey,
You know?
my Steve Hart one.
Yeah. Have you seen my impersonation from yesterday's show?
I did, and I thought it was great.
Perfect.
It
I
was.
didn't catch yesterday's show.
Steve?
I did. I
You
watched
have
the whole
one,
thing.
Rick?
No.
I thought you were going down the impersonation rally.
Not the impersonation, but, you know, now that we're on TV and Man Up, you know.
We're national, so
We're famous.
You know,
so
yes,
Yeah.
very
I'm
famous.
coming out of Bond Life, and this guy waves at me, and hey, Rick, how you doing? I look around, it's Steve Hartline. My wife's with me. I say, oh, my God, Kathy, Steve Hartline just spoke to me.
Right.
You're a celebrity now.
You,
Creasey.
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
is
you
a
are.
different world
You've
for you
even
now,
got the
Creasy.
shades on.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
got
you know,
shows.
Creasy used to like try to keep it like try to be a puppet master in the background.
Right.
But now you're out there, dude.
Yeah.
You're out
He
there.
can't
in the
go anywhere
world.
without being recognized.
Can we
anymore.
all just admit that Creasy's probably our Howard Stern?
Yes. Yeah. Just not as vulgar. Just not as
He's
vulgar.
rocking the glasses
Yes.
right now. Tall, skinny guy.
You know, I've had more people say to me, this is a true story. More people are like, man, I don't like Republicans, but Creasy's pretty reasonable.
There you go.
That's what they say.
Most
That's what
of
they
us
say.
are
Do you wanna
Creasy.
You want to know what they do not? Who they do not say is reasonable? Ding!
Me?
This
Why am
woman
I
to
not
my
reasonable?
left.
Why am I not reasonable?
I don't.
I agree with
I
Creasy.
don't know why. I don't know why they don't think you're reasonable.
It's okay. I can be the unreasonable.
You know what I
one.
tell people?
If they
I
want
tell
to
people
peg me that.
you are super nice. You care for kittens, and also sometimes you get a little crazy. Like, but
Look,
this show hadn't even started, and
I
you were
care
like
about
going berserker.
all humanity. Really?
I know you do.
I do.
I know you do.
I'm always a caring person. If people want to call me unreasonable for that, okay.
Hey,
know.
did you see,
I'm very considerate.
Speaking of animals, did you
Yes.
see on the news that some people are like putting glitter on
Oh, I saw that.
on
No,
the
please.
testicles
Okay,
of
can
their
I just say
dog?
this
Wait,
right
whoa,
now?
wait, what?
You guys need to
This is what
stop.
happens when I look away from
Yeah,
one moment
time
to
out.
fix a production issue.
And what's sad is I've seen this.
We're glittering
No,
the testicles.
Here's
of
the
dogs.
thing. Here's
it's
the
a
thing,
thing.
Creasy. Pause. You're supposed to let me know that that's something we're talking about, so I can put it in the description of the show when we put it out there. Like that would
Glittered
double.
scrotums.
We would definitely. What? Whoa!
Yeah.
It's a groomer
it's a
thing. Don't ask me why. But apparently, the newest thing, first off, your dog shouldn't have a scrotum. I'm just going to say shame on you if he does. And secondly, why in God's green earth would you put glitter on it?
You
Like,
are freaking me out right now.
they
How did
do
you
it-
guys know about this?
Because there were pictures.
There are pictures.
It's like, I can't unsee
You know,
that.
for the record, I did not know about this.
I didn't either. I found
I
it
had
yesterday.
no
I don't know why it
idea.
showed up on my feed line. It's
They're
not like I
like-
Googled it.
What do?
It
Was
shows up
oil?
on your
They
feed
put-
because you're the kitten lady.
Well,
What do
You-
they use to put on the testicles that holds the glitter? I forgot it.
I
It's like
actually didn't read it because I looked at that and went, oh no, my eyes are burning. I
I
can't
think
see.
it's like an
How did
oil or
this,
something. They
how'd
oil
this
it.
show up on your feed, Creasy?
I'm on Facebook.
I want to
never
know what
saw
happens
none
when
of
the dog licks himself.
Your Honor, I'm just a caveman.
Pete is going to end up getting in on this because the dogs are going to end up licking their scrotums and then they're going to poop glitter for a week. So
that's why PETA should get involved. This is clearly
Now, ironically
cruelty.
enough,
absolutely.
I
I
This
don't know
fits
what's
today's
happened.
show.
I have no idea what's
we might
happened
as
here
well
this
have
morning.
talked
Why are we here? You and I don't even need to be here.
We don't.
The people want Stillwell and Creasy.
Stillwell came in loaded for bear today.
Yeah.
She was
'cause
fired up. I
I
had to say, calm. Whoa.
I heard you telling her save it for the show.
I
But,
watched news.
absurdity maybe is the title of today's show. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The absurdity of it all. We've been fussing for a little bit. Now,
Yeah.
thank you to all of those who tuned in yesterday for Snowpocalypse 2019. Rachel and I did survive. We did not have to eat one of our children.
It was a good show. I watched it in my jammies eating English muffins. It was awesome.
So a guy stops me at Cook's. I venture out into the abyss
you were brave.
to get some garlic because you know the roads were really bad.
Yeah.
And put the snow chains on.
Yep.
and
Right,
I saw
right.
that. It was he
Plow on.
barely made it.
And of course, Cook's was open. So somebody stops me, one of our local school board members, and says, "Hey, who is that girl on the show today? I really like her. You need to have her back more often."
Yeah.
That's what I said.
And it didn't hit me because I didn't realize he meant like today, like just the one we had done. And I was like, we have like a cast of, like half the cast is women now.
We are progressive.
We are very progressive here.
But in a good way.
So I didn't realize he was talking about Rachel. And, but this is the slam that he didn't realize he issued. He's like, oh yeah, she's my favorite. Yeah, because I mentioned half the cast is women. He's like, no, but she's the best.
There you
So
go.
sorry, Stillwell.
It's
sorry,
okay.
It's
Kurt.
okay.
Sorry,
Listen.
Mitch.
I'm all right
Listen,
with
you
it.
know what?
AA.
Your
The
wife
women
can-
on this
can
show,
have
the women on
best.
this show are reasonable humans. They don't mind when someone gets a compliment.
She's really good. I said, myself that I think she should take the empty slot. She would be great. It's just we can't talk politics when she's here.
What does she
Yeah,
talk
she's
about?
like, not doing it.
What does she like to talk about?
Just anything that's not politics.
Yesterday we did we speculated on if we could do the whole Big Brother Cleveland or reality show in
Yeah.
Cleveland. Whose house would you put cameras in?
Okay.
And
Okay.
we settled on the Figs, Andy and Sissy
Right,
Figglestaller.
right.
Yeah, we thought
That
that'd
was an
be a good
active
one.
house.
And we said the Cantrells, Sarah and Jonathan Cantrell.
Just because
And
that's
we
crazy
said a
sauce.
retirement show with Big Tom called Tom in Retirement.
Yeah.
Big Tom, can I plug
Plug
it?
it.
Hey, listen, Big Tom is coming. The Legend of Big Tom. Check your socials. If you haven't done it yet, follow the Alderman Group. Go to the Alderman Group Facebook page and give us a like and a follow.
Now, where did you move to? I know you moved to the square, but exactly where?
What do you mean?
I thought you moved downtown.
No. I've been operating downtown. So here's what happened.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, there is like a secret. I'm gonna do it the way that this show likes it. There's a secret conspiracy, Creasy.
Yeah.
It's the downtown Christmas party. Have you
Yeah.
heard of this?
Yes, you have to have the right jacket to get in.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the
Downtown
thing.
Christmas
Yeah.
party.
Hard
Here's the thing.
Apparently, we don't have
Yeah.
the right
The
jacket.
Bobby Taylor jacket.
So-
You have to have the Bobby Taylor.
So he's the guy who ran the bank for a long time?
Yes.
Okay, so this is kind of a cool story, actually. Let me say, I think it's cool. There are other people who wouldn't like it. This guy, what used to be sort of like a modern-day Fezziwig, which is like my favorite person in the world, right? So I'm a big Fezziwig
I like
fan.
Fezziwig.
For those of you who don't know that, that's from
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol. Fezziwig was like the good boss who let his employees go home for Christmas and showed kindness to young Scrooge and
And that
like
was
that whole
Bobby
bit, right?
Taylor.
Right. So this dude back in the day at Thanksgiving
Yes.
would put on a red plaid jacket.
Yeah, I seen
and
those
he
around
wouldn't
town.
take it off until New Year's. And that was his thing. That's how he said, hey,
My Hardwick.
Right, it was
Hardwick.
a
Sure.
Hardwick jacket. Now, his original, it's Hardwick now. I learned a lot about this. It wasn't Hardwick. It was just his jacket. Hardwick recreated it. Okay, so it's not quite exactly the same plaid.
Did they have it
So what happened was, over time, when you became established at the bank and you had worked there for a while, you got the plaid jacket.
Yes.
You would wear this to the company Christmas party, which became the downtown Christmas party. Now, I've been operating my business in downtown for like 8 years. I've had no idea this Christmas party ever even occurred. Now, I know, it's cool. Leave me out. It's fine. Whatever. Is
this how you became a member of Main Street?
Here's the deal.
You're
No.
looking cool
I'll
with the
tell you
jacket.
this. So I get invited to go to the Christmas party. Christy from Bank of Cleveland invites me to the Christmas party. I go, and like there's tons of people I know. And I'm thinking, how come I just really got to know Christy over the last year? All these people I know never invited me. They know my office is right downtown.
So is the party
I've been
held
down
in the
there.
bank? Or?
The party is held like in the
Main Street Christmas
in the mortgage part of the bank that's right next to my office.
Okay.
So this party's been going on unbeknownst to me
For 8 years.
for like
And
all
you
this
had no
time.
clue.
I
It's
had
not
no
in
idea.
that space. It used to be on the second floor.
Right. So I go in there, and there's all these people with the jacket.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a kind of like, I don't want to say creepy because creepy's the wrong word, but there's a lot of them, and you know, like this is all connected. So I finally
Right.
say, "Tell me the story of the jacket."
Yeah.
Right. Now, I say, "Who put on this shindig?" The food was awesome.
Yeah.
First of all, food was great. They had like a jazz band with like a really good flute player there. It was just a good time, and everybody was nice. Everybody's having a nice time, and I guess it sort of signals downtown. It's like now you're all on Christmas break.
Okay.
That's like sort of what it is. Well, Main Street Cleveland apparently is part of this. This is like their Christmas party, right? No lie, like maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, someone calls me up. They say, "Hey, is this the Alderman group?" I go, "Yeah." They're like, "I just was sitting at lunch with some of the Main Street Cleveland people. We're looking to do a creative film for our organization. We need to raise some money for Project X. And they said, if you need a great idea for a film and you want to do something like this, Alderman Group is where you go." I said, "Oh, well, that's really complimentary." And they literally drove. They were eating at Deli Boys. I was at Bond Life. They drove from Deli Boys to Bond Life and hired us on the spot. Wow. And I was like, I'm joining Main Street Cleveland.
There you go.
There you
Right?
go.
So, like, here's to all of you organizations out there who say you want to help business, right? That if you are an organization that exists for businesses, this is how you help businesses, is help them get business, right? So if you want me to be a member of your organization, like, help me get some business.
Well, and Main Street does a good job with that sometimes. Man Up Moment.
It was good for me.
Venue Creekside's no longer a member of Main Street because after 3 times of going to the meeting and they're trying to get government to build a competing facility, we realized
I know that
we're not
really
in the right place.
No, I know that really bothered you. Listen, I know that bothered you, but now I'm there.
Yeah.
And you need to rejoin so that we have that
Are
voice.
you brother man carding me?
I'm just telling you the truth.
He just
I
brother
think
man.
he- I think he
Sharon
did.
Marr,
Listen,
he brother man
I
carded
was
me.
telling you, I'm not afraid. Here's
You
the
did
deal.
it.
That
Here's
needs
the
to be
deal.
on the
I
big
was
But
down.
telling
I'm not a fan of the continued dialogue of we have no event space downtown when I
There is an
spent my
event
nest
space.
egg
No, there's an event
down here
space
at the Venue
downtown,
Creekside.
and we don't need to spend tax dollars on something that private industry's already handling.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
just
It's
the
already
truth.
here.
But listen, if you're not there to say it, I'll say it. I'm not afraid. But here's the deal, Main Street. I went to my first meeting. It was good. The county mayor spoke, and everybody was nice to me, and it was cool. I actually sat. I don't know if you guys remember. Many moons ago, back when we used to record this show at a different venue, Josh was there, and I sat with him, and it was a good time. And they had cottage cheese, Rick.
Wow.
And it was cold, and I like good, cold, fresh cottage cheese, so I ate that. Here's why I feel like I need to be invested. You guys know that right across from my business is a coffee shop not named Bond Life.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. That guy is on the board of Main Street Cleveland. Okay. I don't know if he watches this show or not.
He's been
Of
on
course
the
he
show.
does.
Oh, yeah. You're right. He's been on the show. Here's the deal. That was the day. The day he was on the show was the day I realized he's my nemesis. Right? He's like, he's like other Rob. He's like parallel universe
So
Rob.
he's Glass.
You know what this means, right?
So he's Glass, and you're the other guy.
Yeah, I'm the
Okay.
good guy.
Okay.
I'm done.
Clearly split.
I'm done, right? So here's the thing. It was on the show. It was on this show where he said, like, yeah, we need, like, he talked about turning downtown into a bedroom community. Remember, into a quiet bedroom community. And I was like, that's not why people move to a downtown area. I realized we had competing philosophies about downtown, right?
It's
Well,
already
I
a
can't-
bedroom community.
I can't. Here's the deal.
the
I
homeless.
can't do my part to turn downtown Cleveland into a sprawling mecca of hipness if this dude's trying to get everybody, Creasey's crew, to move in and go to sleep by
right.
4. You know what I'm saying? So, no offense, I want you to go to sleep by 4, but I just want you to keep it in the burbs
Yeah.
or like at the nursing homes or like
you.
whatever.
I got you.
So my point is, I had to join to be the opposite voice. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So yeah, I'm in there. They
So
got me
you
a
are
client already.
You are yin and yang in this thing. You
Yeah,
need balance.
he just doesn't know it yet, but he wasn't at the last meeting, so I'm one up on him for the year. He wasn't even there. I asked. I literally said, I texted Corey Dival, hey, where's the guy who owns the downtown coffee shop and thinks he knows what's best for everyone? ? Send. And Corey Dival was like, he's not here today. Right, but Corey Dival was there, so you need to rejoin. It's not even that
Okay,
expensive.
Here's what we've done so far.
You could eat with me, Corey Dival, the
20
mayor.
minutes into the next show.
Yeah.
Or 20 minutes into this show, this is what we've accomplished.
Yeah.
Glitter canine balls.
Yes.
Yes.
Rob has a nemesis.
Yeah.
Timmy's really angry about MAGA.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the good doctor can't talk today.
Was there like this? I gotta just say, it's like kind of the best show you've done in a while.
So far, I've said, y'all kid me about saying, hey, I want to do more shows where I'm not on, where it can run without me.
But
And
you meant
guys
on the
are like,
other
no,
side of...
we can't do it without you.
Yeah.
And the more that I'm quiet doing this, the better things are.
Have you considered that maybe
It's not that
this
I'm
is-
in the way. It's that I don't have to. It's
may-
just happening.
So maybe this has actually just been secret therapy for us. And if you get invited on this show, it's because Adam knows you have a problem, and he just sits back and lets us talk through our own stuff. Anyway,
Work
I'm
it
coming
out.
for
Work
you,
it out.
Nemesis.
just to remind you all that the common denominator amongst this cast
Yes.
Yeah,
has been me going, hey,
yeah, that's true.
come say that on the
Come
show.
say it on the show. That's true. That's true. Anyway,
Oh, goodness gracious.
So Rob's nemesis is intact. We'll get you guys both on one day.
drink
You can
Bon
talk
Life
about
coffee.
But does he have glitter
Downtown philosophy.
glitter stuff?
No, Tammy.
Okay,
we've
I'm
moved
just
on.
saying.
Yeah, all right. Hey, let's move on to your agenda.
Jenna says they're doing that so they know which dog impregnated the neighbors.
Oh yeah, that's gonna tell them.
Yeah. It's just okay. Just stop. Like, just that's taking it too far. Y'all need to quit it.
So for those of you who've been following the show and maybe even me on the socials, you'll know that my pet peeve lately has been irresponsible reporting.
Oh yeah.
Recently, we had one of Trump's former advisors, associates, wasn't an official advisor.
Yeah, he was
Right.
just kind of. I think he was just kind of like off. He wasn't on payroll, right? He was just kind of there.
Rick, break down this story for us. FBI raids the home of a 60-year-old man for lying.
By the way, this is my Roger Stone impersonation today. Just
Okay.
with the glasses, with the hair, all that. But anyway, yeah, I think it was like more armed forces that were used to capture bin Laden. You know, there's an FBI boat in the canal behind his house, and mysteriously, CNN
And
shows
knew
up.
about it.
Of course, it was all a hunch. You know, there was no communication there.
That's a heck of a hunch.
But the guy is being tried for perjury, okay, and obstruction. But you know what he's not being tried for? Collusion, okay? The main purpose of Robert Mueller's investigation.
Isn't that what he's supposed to be investigating?
Okay, now before
Well, I thought,
before we jump to the Mueller investigation, let's talk about the media's response to this news, which was first. I personally, I know it was forwarded around the socials about how did CNN know this raid was going down. There's clearly a leak in communication there, but I don't think the optics were great that the news network that Trump tends to berate the most gets a leak from the FBI when Trump's criticism has been the FBI's leaking, colluding against him, right? And they show up and they're getting it all in real time. That seemed a little off color. I don't think the optics of that worked. What bothered me, though, was the subsequent reporting, which was this guy who had some contact with the Trump campaign advisors. It was like 4 degrees of separation, hence now it means collusion. Like people, like news sources actively reporting that.
Oh yeah,
and
Trump's going down.
I'm not saying there. I'm still one of those saying I'm not saying there wasn't collusion, but I'm saying
show me proof.
This that you're talking about, media,
is not
it. And I outlined this thing where I said, I work for people who have clients who funded Neyland or fund the Tennessee Vols, which are hosted at Neyland Stadium. So therefore, I guess I host football games at Neyland Stadium. Right? It's kind of the same logic, the same Kevin Bacon approach to how we report. And the irresponsible reporting of the news has continued to kind of truck on. Tammy drops a line last night about a story in Chicago in which there was a hate crime. These guys allegedly beat up a celebrity actor. And then the news starts reporting that they were yelling, "Long live MAGA" or something like that.
They were MAGA supporters.
And then the police come out and say, no, none of that was said. Like, who's throwing the color commentary on this, trying to take these things and draw them in? Now, I'm not saying there aren't MAGA hats out there beating people up. There probably are. But I'm saying news media, you have a greater calling to make sure that when you report something, you're not pushing your own agenda through it. And I think that's why the whole hashtag fake news has been placed on broadcast media as a whole.
Of course.
So this has been...
And mysteriously, there's no videotape of this in an area that there's cameras on every building. Keep your eye on this story.
we know the man was attacked. I mean, he's been in the hospital, and it doesn't matter who attacked him or why they attacked him. They attacked him, which is bad, and those people need to get caught. They need to be punished to the nth degree. And that's bad enough. But then the media has to take some type of tragedy like this and go, yeah, but they were MAGA supporters. And they were white. And the police said, we actually don't know any of that.
Like, we haven't caught them. We don't know if they're white.
And let me just say, for all us Southern folk down here that don't know how Chicago works, the Chicago PD is probably about as corrupt as you're ever going to get and as far liberal.
Are you reporting like the media?
No,
this
is
I was about to say,
did you just CNN it?
Yeah,
Kenny and I are from there.
No,
Kenny and I are from
Rob's
Chicago.
From Chicago.
The Prince is from Chicago.
The Windy City?
Listen, I'm from there.
I did not know that.
He's from
We know.
Chi-town.
We have family that
Is the
in the police
corrupt, or
department.
is that just on Blue Bloods?
No, Chicago is known for being corrupt because of the Chicago way, right? So the Chicago way, the system, right? It's an old. It's you can't apply like new world thinking to towns like New York, Chicago, and LA, right?
My point still being is even the Chicago police said, no, that's not at all what happened. That phrase was never used. It is not in the report, and we have no idea the race of the people that did this. So we know. How did CNN report? And this is all over my news feed line. How dare the MAGA supporters? How dare the what? I mean, I get it. The point is the man was beaten and, had a noose around him and bleached and all kinds of stuff. But the only thing that's important was it was MAGA supporters that did it.
Look, we've had this conversation. I hate to be reasonable. I hate to be the source of reason. But we've said on this show, right?
Lucas, knock it off. You're killing me.
Listen, Tom Jubla, we are from Chicago. We're as close to Chicago as you can get. We're from Northwest Indiana, which is arguably a little bit rougher than the actual city. Anyhow, here's the deal. We've said just because you're a Muslim doesn't make you a radical Islamic terrorist, right?
True.
So we can't start this because you're this, you're that, right?
True.
The world is too complicated. If you're wearing a MAGA hat, you could be wearing a MAGA hat for a lot of different reasons. First of all, the police reports don't say these dudes were wearing MAGA hats or screaming MAGA, this is MAGA town, or whatever. Also, here's the news flash for you. If you're in Chicago, you're not in MAGA town.
No, you're in Rahm
No.
You're not in
No,
MAGA
you're
town.
not.
Rahm Emanuel.
So here's the deal. We can't, and people want, right? People want, like, only their side, like the way our tribalism is working. They want only their side to be true, right? So I have friends who watch this show, and they want, right, to say that every Muslim is an extreme radical Islamist, right? These friends of mine are on like the very conservative side, right? There are also liberal friends I have that watch this show that want everybody wearing a MAGA hat to be like an angry racist, put a noose around someone's neck, pour bleach on them person. The truth is, this is America, and it's all a lot more complicated than that. And you gotta listen. I'm floating above America, Stillwell.
That is cool.
You should be cold today.
I am above America. I'm floating above investigative journalist. And as I look down, I'm getting really worried about these blanket statements. But again, we can only say it so often. This is on the journalists again. You're playing right into the very meme Trump made for you, right? He called you fake news, and you keep fake news, and then
And that's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think for you to have friends who have these views is acceptable. Right?
Again.
What
Sorry.
in the world, Tammy?
Someone is trying to call me.
Tammy's like
I have
pumping
myself.
up in here.
You know, earlier people were like texting me saying I need to let Stillwell talk earlier. And here's the deal. People don't realize what I walked into this morning. I felt like I had to fight
She
back.
talked
Like
for the first. She's out of gas. First 15 minutes where the cameras were live. She just right on the table.
I did. I had word vomit. It just
I
kind
thought
of flew
Creasey
out,
was going to
so-
actually run
All right,
away.
let's
It takes
give
a lot.
Tammy a chance to talk here.
Yeah,
but
go
to,
ahead.
to clarify with Rob.
And I do. I agree with that. It's just I don't understand why the media can't just report the actual facts. Was it not bad enough that a man was beaten, had a noose put around his neck, and poured bleach over him? I don't care
It
what
is.
the
It's
reason
enough.
was.
It's enough.
So
It's enough.
why
But what about even
do
with Roger
they?
Stone? Right?
That too. Why do they feel necessary to bring something into it that had absolutely nothing to do with it? The whole Roger Stone thing, I'm still trying to figure out. They're basically saying that he's in trouble because he was looking into WikiLeaks and giving the information. I'm like, okay, well, since when was WikiLeaks? When was it illegal to look at WikiLeaks?
No. That's not it. No,
what
that's not it. He has. So here's what's cool, man. All right, here's what's
And
cool.
how did
You ready?
CNN know?
Here's the deal. Rogers, it's a lot more it's a lot bigger than that. I'm interested in the Roger Stone thing because, like, you know those personalities that just think they can get away with everything and, like, it's going to be fine? That's him. Like, he was indicted and immediately flashed the Richard Nixon.
Yeah,
Like, he didn't even care,
I was
man.
like, please, not that,
Did
not
not
that.
even care.
He did.
Right? Like, he doesn't care. He walked out of the courtroom, and before he came out to the press conference, he met with, like, NPR in the bathroom or something. Like, remember that? He came out and was like, hold on, and was like, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. Now, this dude who doesn't care is saying there's no collusion, right? But what he really was doing is he has emails, right, that essentially say, like, here is exactly when we're going to feed this information about Hillary to WikiLeaks to drop it at the right times during the election,
Which
right?
that he's not charged for.
That's not what he's charged
for.
for.
Lying
To
That's right.
Congress
To
after
Congress.
the election.
after
Right.
the election. Yeah.
But of course he's a liar.
He's
'Cause he likes it.
I don't want people to know I'm dropping WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
He should have just said I plead the fifth.
Yeah.
walked out of Congress.
He should have just said,
We
"I don't."
forgot about
I'm not
that
here
constitutional
to.
protection.
No, nobody will do that. No one
Sink
pleases you.
ships.
But I kind of like. It's hard not to like this dude. I mean, he's a bad man, surely, right? Only in as much as he wants to be. He says he is. But like this guy, he don't care.
But the problem
He
is we're
doesn't
never
care.
going to
He's
find
like
the
a
truth.
Teflon Don.
Because the media, I really feel like at this point, the media is incapable of just giving facts. Because I don't think it is that complicated. It's complicated because they won't just tell the truth because it doesn't fit a narrative. They simply
Okay.
can't. I think they're incapable of it.
This is why Rob's discussion about his friends with extreme viewpoints is okay, but it's not okay for the media. Is the First Amendment doesn't just give you the right to freedom of speech, but we also have this concept of freedom of press, right?
Right.
There's this individual language that protects the ability of news media to report, have access to information, to say it without being berated and hammered or Venezuela'd. Right? If you're watching Venezuela right now,
yes,
or you watch Brazil, or you watch some of these other countries, with that comes great responsibility, right? There's a degree of responsibility further. And it's one thing for us to say, well, let the free market decide when it comes to media, because normally that's my go-to, right? I'm going to let the free market decide. If you do bad reporting, Tom Brokaw, you're fired.
Yeah.
A news station will fire you. The only problem is there's so much collusion in news media right now. There's people who are now invading those careers as journalists, not to capture the news, to deliver the news, to write about the news, because they're wanting to color the news. It's like when we talked about a lot of African American men getting shot in the streets, and they want to say these cops are shooting African American men. And on the show, we said, police departments have to be vigilant, because if you're the kind of guy that wants to shoot somebody, sometimes you try to get into that career.
And listen, people didn't like it when we said that on the show.
But you know what?
But it was a fact. But you know who did? Police officers.
Yeah,
remember that?
they said,
police officers came up to us and said, "You're right. Like, if you're the kind of person who wants to abuse power, you will try to be a cop."
Sure.
That's what other police officers came to us and said, "Thanks for talking about that," because they try to weed that out. But of course, you can't get them all.
And the sheriff and the chief of police both said, we have to actively take screening measures to prevent those people from being in the force.
That's right. Yeah.
The problem is the news media is not being as responsible as the police departments with regards to whom they hand a pen and whom they hand a camera, because the culture of the news media has been, if it bleeds, it leads.
That's right. We're the victims now. Our culture's the victim of if it bleeds, it leads. Like, when you think about that, if it bleeds, it leads goes back like to the 60s, right? It took us a while to get here. But that tagline, if it bleeds, it leads, right, was the beginning of this slope to where we're now like only sensationalism is the only thing that exists.
There's like 4 or 5 different versions of society. I forget what the others were, but victimhood is one of them, and that's actually where society is right now. Is we're in the victimhood, and then there's another one that comes after that. I'm gonna have to ask the principal.
Well, and here's the danger.
But that's kind of that is where we are right now.
And here's the danger of being in a victimized role. If you perceive yourself as a victim, your immediate response is defensive.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. If you are the victim, you're in defensive mode. You're no longer in progression mode. You're no longer in growth mode. You're defending, and we
All
really are in this defense time.
That's why I stay on the offense.
For all of you who hate fake news and fake news media and sensationalism, you can't help but consume it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem. We've been so driven by reality TV, we know that's not real, but we love the train wreck. If you want, case in point, some car goes off the road, hit a little black ice, and watch how much traffic slows down. And it's not people who are concerned going, I wonder if they're okay. They're wanting to see the carnage. Yeah. Is half a body in a tree?
Yeah.
We're so driven by the sensational approach to this stuff.
It's sad but true.
You want the disaster. You want CNN there as they pull Roger Stone out of his house. And you want to be mad about it.
Right, yeah.
You want the news to report that these guys were yelling, "Long live MAGA." And you want the news media to be wrong because it feeds your narrative.
We got to get that dopamine hit culturally, right? Like, I want to say too, like, part of this, when you look at the history of journalism where we've been, right? Jubila just said the news has always been sensationalism. I don't know that that's true. I think sensationalism has always been a part, right? But in terms of it being the whole, I would maybe disagree.
Now, Walter Cronkite was not into sensationalism. That's not the history.
Here's the deal. I do think, like a lot of things, right? Like, you create a beast and then you cry about it, like smashing the village, right? Like here's the deal, man. When you have a world where, sorry to upset my conservative friends, when you have a world where, like, Fox News, right, can call their channel Fox News, but that only a small segment is news and the rest is commentary, and then they go, we're commentary. Well, that became the number one channel, right? Like Fox News. So we shouldn't be surprised when CNN becomes
Follow
just
suit. Yeah.
right. They become a liberal version of that. Like
Yeah.
you become whatever you think is going to be the most successful, right? So Fox News as a channel quit doing news, very, very little news, started doing commentary. And what they would say is, right, they'd say, well, Bill O'Reilly, people would say, that's not right. Bill O'Reilly's not right. Rush Limbaugh's not right. And they would say, right, well, that's commentary.
Yeah.
That's just commentary. We're not
This is
saying that's the news.
entertainment. This is-
That's
we're not
entertainment,
In
right?
defense of Fox News, they do have Juan Williams and Shepard Smith.
I
So,
agree. Listen, Shep is
crying out loud.
And honestly,
Listen,
Neil
Shep's awesome.
Cavuto, I think Cavuto does.
I think Shep's amazing.
That was sarcasm because those two
Shep's
are
amazing.
on the extreme
Okay,
left.
let me just say there are actually some of us
You
that
think Shepard
that,
Smith's on the extreme
Oh my
left.
God.
that
Yes.
don't consume these things, which again is why I don't have cable.
Plus
I
he's a
don't
dope.
watch any news source. I don't do
Did you
any
say
of
he's
those
a
things.
dope?
He's a dope. Shep Smith.
Is it?
Oh
You're
my
so
Yeah, we know
upset.
you watch the show, so you can email Rick Creasey
Yeah,
at
poor
Creasey
you just
at
heard
Man
Shep's
Fly.
feelings. You heard Shep's feelings. So anyway, my
Yeah,
point is,
he's a violent
when we as a culture, right? When we as a culture made a commentary channel, right? And we called it news, or we let them call it news. They called it Fox News Channel.
Sure,
right?
they do.
And we elevated it in the ratings. We can't be surprised when everyone else does,
Yeah.
because this is America, and everybody's going to go after that dollar. You know,
Yeah,
That's
well,
just kinda
they're
part
all
of it.
looking for what the people want to see. Some of us don't actually want to see those things. I've said before, I haven't watched mainstream news in probably over 20 years. As like I said before, if I literally sat and tried to watch the news, I would be in a state of
I have
pissed
to
off
watch
24/7.
ABC Nightly News every
I don't
night
watch
with
any of
David
it.
what's his name because
Yeah,
it's
I don't.
amazing.
I don't even know who the commentators are anymore because I just don't do that. Well, how do you get your news?
It's just-
well, if I hear something on my feed, then I go and start doing research and try to figure out what the
Well,
truth
it's
is.
a lot of it though. Is
But I stay
right.
away
It's
from
the
it.
way the channels function, right?
Well, yeah.
It used to be that the TV channel was the channel, and there was all sorts of stuff on it.
There were
But
three
then
of them.
There were
but
three,
then
I
the
remember that.
show, But I'm talking about back in your day when there was one. When there was the one, it was called TV channel. Remember that? Like before there was like
that was
3
before my
fives.
time. I'm sorry.
You remember the picture box, Creasey?
So you were listen.
I've
You
always
remember
had
this,
3
Creasy?
channels.
Creasy, you remember this? Howdy Doody was on one
I
of
do
them.
remember that.
Captain Kangaroo,
I
I think,
remember
was
Captain
on one of them.
Kangaroo is the best.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was.
I
He was
mean,
awesome.
Sesame
So-
Street is ridiculous. Captain Kangaroo is it.
So here's what I'm getting at: is back in your Howdy Doody days, nobody pretended Howdy Doody was also the news, right? Because there wasn't a news channel where we were like consuming this commentary constantly and telling ourselves it was the news. There was a TV channel, and sometimes it was sports, and sometimes it was fiction, and sometimes it was nonfiction. And then in the evening,
Soap
you got
operas.
the nightly news, right?
Got
and
it.
that's where America sat down to get the facts,
Yep.
right? And over time, man, that just sort of
When
disintegrated.
you have a
This is where we're at now.
24/7 news cycle and CNN and Fox, whoever is on for 24/7, you got to make stuff up. They're sitting there speculating, prognosticating, prophesying, and half the time they don't know what they're talking about.
They're all regurgitating the same thing. Like if you would, because the Prince does watch Fox, so on
No
occasion,
way.
no, he does. Yeah.
No
so
way.
on occasion,
How's he move all the guns out of the way to see the TV?
because they're in a safe. It's fine, except for the rifles that sit
Except
next
for
to
the
fire.
ones that he showed me that were just like, that dude's got an arsenal just like at the ready.
Yeah,
I
so
like
do
it. It was
Yeah,
cool.
It's
Rob
cool.
wouldn't know
But in
he's
any
floating
event,
above America.
he is. But in
I
any
saw
event,
it from where I was.
If anybody
Investigative
were
journalist.
to watch any of these nightly news, not necessarily the local, but we're talking like the CNNs, the Fox News, and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, watch it for 7 days and then come back and tell me what happened. It is nothing but the same information, crap that it is,
Right.
regurgitated over and over. You watch all the little shows. If you watched Hannity and then Tucker and then whoever comes back, they all talk about the same poo-poo, and they just keep doing this, and it never changes. Like in 7 days, it's just, you could watch it on Monday and then not watch it for 2 weeks and go back, and it's probably still the same thing.
I was in St. Kitts last week,
When you had
Wandering
scurvy?
Creasey.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I went, no news. I was on Facebook some. I come back, haven't missed a thing.
Right? So what does
Right.
that
Haven't
tell
missed
you?
a thing.
They just take this much truth and then throw in whatever it is that they decide they want to throw in, right? And then they all just do this.
Okay, and well,
I don't watch it.
We've all described, what is happening.
Yeah.
Somebody's fixing to get man up bingo. Because this is where I over-explain.
Don't consume it.
Adam over-explains.
Spray.
Adam over-explains. Bingo!
Bingo.
Yo, me a Coke.
I'm constantly...
I was a little late today. I feel like everything's there. You didn't say libtards, but you
I
said
never
something.
use the term libtards. Y'all need to come up with something
But
else.
we did use the word testicle, so
We
you
did.
can mark that off
What's
your bingo
that?
card.
Glitter
free
testicles.
space in there.
Yeah.
So I always get to... we explain what's happening. Mm-hmm. I'm always in this mode of asking why it's happening, and why are we doing it? And I keep going back to what we're responsible for. Rick, we were talking about my son and sports before the show started, and one of the things that I tell my kid all the time is you can't control the referees. Mm-hmm. You can't control whether your receiver drops the ball.
That's
you can't.
right.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask yourself, what can I control?
Yep.
So ask ourselves, why is it this way, and what have I done that feeds this animal and this beast? And I think that there are these morals that have been passed down from generation to generation. And I was talking to my wife, and I said, you know what? Let's go back to one of the very first stories we actually have scripted on record, which is the Epic of Beowulf, right?
Yeah.
In which the king invites Beowulf in to fight this monster that is Grendel, only for us to find out in the story who created the monster. Mm-hmm. It's the son of the king himself, because he did this thing that was wrong with this dragon beast, and so this old epic that we have, it's an Anglican epic. I know somebody will be like, Gilgamesh. Just listen to me for a moment. Way back when we were teaching our children, be sure your sins will find you out, right? Mm-hmm. Look at what you've created, and ultimately there's some revelation that we've created a lot of our own problems, a lot of the destruction that we have. So we're in a time in victimization where we're pointing fingers back and forth going, you did this to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying to everybody, pause for a moment, take the fingers down, and ask yourself what you've done to feed the beast.
Yeah.
As long as you continue to look for the train wreck, as long as you continue to watch Fox News and CNN and consume those things, as long as you continue to buy into that stuff, we're going to continue to get it.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's going to continue to come. A very, very wise man once said to me, J. Adam, follow the money. And he's floating above America. Did y'all see that?
America.
There's another bingo.
I'm
Adam
floating
gives Rob a compliment.
I'm floating above America.
That's a special square, the hidden square.
People need to learn, and I do this a lot, where sometimes, when you're on that Facebook, you just got to scroll past. If you run your finger up your phone
Look
like
at
this.
you.
And, I scroll past.
I'm proud of you. I'm
no,
proud of
I
you.
scroll past more than people think. When something comes across my feed that I find is a blatant lie, and I can prove that it's a blatant lie, I don't point the fingers. I just go, hey, it's misinformation. You need to read this.
Yeah.
Put the blame where it belongs.
The genesis,
but here you go.
I think, I do want to say
try not to
that.
feed the beast.
Right.
Basically,
I want to say, in the early stages of our friendship, when we first met, I consider us to be friends.
Oh, we're friends. We're good friends.
In the early stages when I first met you on the show, your feed was full of a lot of things that were from right-wingers hate the liberals.com.
Well, that's what it always is, yeah.
And I'd be like, hey, just so you know, that didn't happen. Actually, that
I
thing,
was.
right?
I was one of those.
But you always, this is what I really appreciate about you. Most people wouldn't know this about you. You would delete it, yes, but you would post, hey, earlier today, I posted this thing. That was actually not true.
Yep.
Don't share it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there's something more to this, really angry woman than I realized.
We talk about the why.
I do like facts.
We're in a culture that
Plus
says
kittens.
we can't ever be wrong.
True.
Right? We're in a culture that demands for perfection, and if you're ever wrong, things fall apart. And the danger of that is, if we're wrong in government, if we pilot something that doesn't work,
we have to pretend it worked.
We pretend it works instead of changing it or stop doing it.
Yep.
We never say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. And we don't preference when we do something by, hey, this may or may not work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Used to in the media, they would say, allegedly. You know,
now it's
we
not.
have a source that says. We have not corroborated that source. They used to say things like
But
that.
they don't
say,
now.
we're going to give you this information because it could be important, but we're going to be honest with you that we don't know yet.
Well, and there was a time, this is the thing Britton and I got in that big public back and forth about the other day, where there was a time actually you wouldn't even post, you wouldn't have printed it if it was alleged.
Yeah.
Right? Some would, but in general, you would hang back on the story until you had the
Well, I
citations.
mean, look at John F. Kennedy.
You know,
The news knew all that junk going on in his personal life, but
They never
never
reported
printed
it.
Because they asked him, you know, y'all remember the Man Up grid? The news media grid?
Yeah.
Where we scaled it on whether it was fair and whether it was true.
Yeah.
Right.
And up on this side of fake news, it was untrue, but it was fair, was satire.
right?
That's
Untrue
the
but
Babylon
fair is satire.
Then there was things that were true but unfair, and that was dirt. The
Right.
media wasn't interested in those, you know, quartiles of that grid. They
Mm-hmm.
were interested in what was true and fair.
Yeah.
Right? And we've forgotten those measurements. We've forgotten that matrix of how we should
People
evaluate
have
news.
forgotten how to say I'm sorry. I mean, literally, and I'll say this is my man up for the week. There was a post that was on my my Facebook page, and it had nothing to do with political. It had nothing to do with that. It was a car detail company, right? And they're showing their cars. And this one car in particular, I mean, they did a fabulous job, but the condition of the car blew my mind, right? Like, I just wasn't prepared for it. I kind of put my little 2 cents worth in there. You guys do a great job. How in the world could adult let their car get this way? I ate a lot of crow that day. Apparently, the person that had the car, they had a lot of tragedy in their life. She just lost her husband. I mean, all these things came down, and I thought, oh my God, Stillwell, you suck. I
Are
literally
you
posted.
telling people not to be judgmental?
I literally posted publicly to her, I am so sorry for your loss. I'm a horrible
Stillwell.
person. Sometimes people just have to admit when they're wrong.
They're-
And I was wrong. Like,
There
all
you go,
cap
being
wrong.
a good human being again.
So, I mean, and I still feel horrible for that. And I hope, I mean, she took my apology, but I felt absolutely horrible. No, we don't know people's situation. And maybe I should have known that before I posted what I posted.
Well, here's if for those of you who believe in absolute truth, we're talking about news media,
There's no
which
such
is
thing
rife
as
with
absolute
commentary.
truth.
let me put this to you. Do you realize that some 15 to 20% of academic journal articles are retracted?
Yeah.
No,
This is
I
your
didn't know that.
science. You know, when we
Yeah.
talk about science,
Proof.
science, retractions. In what we should be the quest, the empirical study, all of that fun stuff that we seek to be the clearinghouse of our
Knowledge.
truth
Wow.
are retracted. So we can anticipate that as humans, we're going to make mistakes. Now, a lot of those retractions are people who are just absolutely fabricating their studies, anti-vaxxers. But the
Global warming.
Walk outside today, folks.
yeah, there we.
Yeah.
But there's
In any
so
event.
much that you have to I hate to use the phrase take things worth a grain of salt because I think you have to still consume news. I think you have to still get information, but we're now in a place in society where we have to self-corroborate things, and we've never seen ourselves as people as qualified to do that. That was the work of the journalist, right? They were the professionals. They're the ones who spent, several
Were you
classes
the one
in
that
college on
that
ethics.
shared the Atlantic article?
Which one?
The one where the guy watched all the footage of the kids in DC.
Farcelli shared it.
Great article, right?
Yeah,
You
that
know,
was.
you and I both share I think a general like of the Atlantic. I would say that in
not
general
always.
they're not. But man, in a world where most people aren't ever, they're pretty
I'll
good
say
about
They
it.
have writers who are consistently
Yeah.
good. There's some of them that
They need to shorten it. Their articles are too long.
they are kind of long, but they're comprehensive.
They're comprehensive.
Creasy.
We
They're
need
comprehensive.
snapshots. We
Listen,
don't
I
need
know
the
it's
whole
tough.
story.
I know that it's tough to get everything in between naps.
That's right.
It's difficult. I know it's difficult for you to get everything in between like your
a rough life,
4:30
Creasy.
a.m.
You know,
cup of
my
coffee and your
nap
first
is
nap.
because I'm bored. So if you want me to stay
You know,
awake, keep me-
that's exactly what the prince says.
You are a wise man. The prince says the
because
same
I'm
thing.
bored.
I nap because I'm bored.
If I'm
There's
nappy,
nothing better
I'm
for me to
bored.
do.
Wake me up. Excite me.
Yeah, let's go to the gun range.
What
I'll
are you
get up.
guys doing for Creasey's generation, y'all? Come on, news. Come
Nothing.
on,
They're not doing for
news.
anybody's generation. That's the sad
Anyway,
part.
I don't watch any of it, and you
Yeah.
know that. I float above America. I no longer. I checked out a while ago, and I feel better for it. I have certain places I'll still get news. Like I said, the Atlantic is one I appreciate in general, and I try to balance it. It's not right down the middle, but I try to balance it. I still listen up first. Right, we're giving Steve Inskeep a long leash at the moment, but like I still listen to it, and but CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, zero consumption. And if you're the person sharing those things, I'm out.
I'll still-
and if you're
I'll still
sharing
look at
anything,
them,
and
but-
if you're sharing anything that's like GOP TrueFactsForever.net, I'm not. I'm
The Real
typically-
America, something like that.
Yeah, I'm not.
Listen, we're out of time today. But
Bill
what we
O'Reilly,
gotta
love
do-
child.
We got to talk about China. We'll push that to tomorrow.
Well, we'll
And
know more tomorrow.
I will
We'll know
say,
more
too,
tomorrow. They're sitting
the
down
new
today.
consumption. Some of you guys need to be weary of your podcast content you consume too.
Yes.
Come to find out, we're distorting history through that as well. So, interestingly enough, Talk 101.3 The Buzz, WTNB Television. Thank you to maybe Rob, Creasey, Stillwell in the house. We will be back tomorrow.
Let's do our Richard Nixon.
Provided there's no more snow.
Right.
That's right.